This hangout on air is live. Okay, so everyone, I would like to introduce you to Bayden Mottee. Bayden Mottee, please inform everyone of who you are, what you're about, and why you're controversial.
Well, my name's Bayden Mottee. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can't
Look, I'm
see
an
you properly.
alternative. I'm a an alternative political thinker. So I try to implement not implement, but create my own values, which are reflections of how I feel about certain issues and certain topics and things like such and such. So essentially, like I'm about saving this country overall, but dealing with the immigration problem, or the question with the issue with that, dealing with privatization of all of our essential services, our businesses failing, going overseas, globalization, this the left and their insidious, cancerous vires on society and its infiltration of culture and society and academia. So we've got a massive problem with the authoritarian left, the morality and thought police, the collectives of people who believe that they can think on behalf of everyone else, and kind of tell everyone else how that individual thinks, even though they have no idea how that person thinks. So they
Mm-hmm.
kind of think that they own people, and they own the interpretation of how that person conveys their message.
Indeed. And for those who are not aware, Baden actually came to some notoriety recently because he was
That's
interviewed. He was interviewed by Channel 9 News by some reporter that everyone apparently knows. I don't know who he is. And at the beginning of the piece, which was at the flag rally where I met you officially,
yep.
the the reporter said, what, he asked you a question and then you said, I do not affiliate myself with extremism.
Yeah, I do not affiliate myself with any extremist groups,
And then the
and
cutaway.
the funny thing is like, yeah, that's they completely twisted that little part of it to you make me like look like I was just talking complete shit.
I know, that's why I love it.
They cut out 99% of what I said. Were you there when I had that interview? You were there, I
I was
believe.
standing with you because
Yeah,
right
yeah, yeah.
before, yeah, you did the interview with Channel 9, and then you and I and two others walked over to Antifa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
was that
Antifa
was
attacked us. Well, they tried to.
Oh yeah,
They
verbally
verbally
attempted
attacked
to
us.
attack us.
Yeah,
Attempted to. It was an attempt.
I've got it on my YouTube channel for anyone who wants to watch.
That's
But
fine.
in terms of the segment that I'm talking about on Channel 9, I haven't left a link below, but I will after this goes to air. But yeah, there is a lot of before we get into the subject of today, which is why is socialism ineffective. I thought Baden would be a good choice because Baden is someone who has been studying politics just in his spare time as a kid. It's just something he happens to like. Just like me, when I was a kid, I loved history. Like, I've now
Mhm.
fallen more into political type subject matters. But so before we get into that, there is a lot of notoriety around you now. You're sort of hated on the left and the right. Do you want to touch on that, or would you rather
Yeah,
just
for sure.
yeah, okay, go for it.
Man, it's you know what I've come to notice that like the more you try to rationalize and see that the good arguments on both sides of the spectrum, I can't biasly, approach this politics in general and the whole paradigm behind it. Just say, oh, like everything on the left or everything on the right is completely wrong. The left do it all the time as well. Completely shut down any form of contrary opinion or contrary facts or information to their
Mm,
own preconceived notion and their bias. And this is where you get cognitive dissonance, man, because no
mhm.
matter how much you try to, or you provide facts to the individual that conflict with their bias and their opinion, they refuse to process that information, because it's a part of their belief system. And and Yeah, and we're just getting at this stage now with the left and the right, and the paradigm behind that, where, um, I see it as I'm too real, and I see that I really respect the right's cause and what the right want to do, and I back them entirely, but I
Ideologically,
see,
ideologically.
yeah, ideologically, you
Mm.
know. But and there's factors of the right that I don't entirely agree with as well. You know, like
I
I
would, I
believe.
would, I would corroborate with that point.
Yeah, but exactly, but I see more I see more flawed arguments on the left than I do on the right, and I constantly attack the left all the time.
Yes.
Like you see on Facebook, it's just the left this, the left that, and people come off and ask me, am I one-sided? Am I, narrow-minded towards, and I say, look, yeah, I understand their what they're saying because yes, most of what I do post is on the left. And
It
I
is. You
see a lot
have
of,
epic rants on Facebook, and these epic rants have got you a lot of likes and a lot of hate. And can we please see your face?
can't you say it?
Nah,
So I might have to
can't
look
have
up.
that cute little face covered up.
Nah, but the thing with the left and the right is with the right, I'm really concerned with the direction that it's going because every time there seems to be a good movement or a good, individual or group of people who stand up and convey our message and act on it, there's always the one or two followers or drag-alongs with the group that say something out of line and ruin it for everybody else.
And
And
this happens on the right as well, and this is why
yeah,
you got called out, right? A lot of people. Then this is what frustrates me. I will associate myself with whoever I want to. I am my own person, and people have told me not to talk to people like Neil Erickson, and people have told me not to talk to to all different types of people. And you don't know anything until you find out the facts from the cat's mouth, and
yeah, that's
that's what
right.
I
You got to hear it
believe.
from the person's mouth themselves, man.
Yeah, I mean,
And
unless they're
and
liars, but I mean, you can keep fishing and research and all that kind of stuff.
that,
So, I am happy to have you on. I'm not going to be beholden to other people's thoughts and feelings. I don't do well when confined. I don't do well when restricted.
under pressure, yeah.
Yes, and I know you and I can agree on that. And with that, let's begin today's topic.
No,
Why is
excellent.
socialism ineffective? I want to talk about socialism because it's the new hot topic. Um, Although the hot topic at the moment is actually democratic socialism. But I think we should begin with this is okay. So, Baden, you've never done a live stream with me before on my channel, so it's going to be super structured. Okay, so
All right, all right,
just
awesome.
follow along. I know you got the email.
No, 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 no worries. It's great. I'm,
Okay,
I'm
so
looking forward to it.
all right, what is your personal definition of socialism? And then I'll tell you, not your personal definition, what is your understanding of what socialism means?
Well, socialism is, as you know, it's got its broad definition. There's so many different definitions to what
Mm,
socialism is and interpretations that are relevant to the individual. But I guess from like as off the top of my head, as close to an objective definition of socialism would be, the centralization of uh, industry, essential services, business, and owned by the community as a whole. But it's not really owned by the community or the individuals of the community. Like they don't have any personal ownership over it or any real sentimental attachment to it. It's just a name. It's just uh, it's explained that way to make the person feel like they're going to have an important role in this new socialist utopia. But really, the state controls everything. The state regulates everything. In a socialist society, it's inherently authoritarian. And democratic socialist is just their way of saying, oh, look, we can make it democratic. So we're going to subconsciously acknowledge that socialism is authoritarian, but we'll slap democratic on the front of it. So it looks like, no, we denounce any of the authoritarian kind of connotations with socialism, and we've just given it some completely rebranded model, which is disingenuous because
it is
they know them,
disingenuous.
and they know that socialism itself, they know that it's going to cause a lot of effect and detrimental harm to the wider macrocosm of society if it's implemented at the desired stages that the radical left want it to be.
Well, my understanding of what socialism is, and Ben Shapiro is usually my source for most things, it's from each according to his ability to each according
His
to his
need.
need. Yeah. So what I don't like about socialism is that socialist programs redistribute. So socialist economies abolish private properties and nationalize industry in order to override profit incentives. And profit incentives is what creates competition. It's what creates the idea of bargaining. It's what creates a market. And if you get rid of that, then you get rid of business overall. So I don't think socialism as a whole uh, would ever work because well, and the fact is that it hasn't for many different attempts, and countries have already tried it and it's never worked. So that can be the segue into the next portion of our discussion. So
Well,
do you do you want to have do you want to add to
continue.
that? Go ahead, add to that.
Well, I was gonna say, what do most of what the left consider successful or not disastrous democratic social or socialist countries in the world are? What do they all have
Finland.
in common?
Oh,
Pardon?
what do they all have in common?
Yeah,
Like you mean
what
like
do they?
Finland, Norway, Sweden, the ones that
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
claim are socialist?
yeah. China.
China's not socialist. That's communist. That's
Well, they
capitalist communism.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a no, it's a mixed economy. So it's so it's
It
they've
might
got
have
private
socialist
enterprise.
overtones, undertones, but my understanding is that it's capitalist slash. Uh,
Its governmental, its political structure and system is communist. So
mhm,
it has that authoritarian structure, and
mhm.
it runs and abides by some certain social communist principles. But economically, it's a mixed economy. It's a market economy now. It's capitalist essentially. It's just regulated capitalism, which is
Regulated
socialism.
capitalism. Yeah. Well, I don't pretend to be an authority on this. I just thought it'd be a very interesting live stream. So, do you think socialism, generally speaking, is moral? Is it a moral system? Is it an immoral system? What are your thoughts on that?
It's facaded, it's masqueraded as a moral system. You
It
know,
is.
help the downtrodden man, flex your morality and your virtue. You know, take collective action with everybody. You know, help out. You know, it paints this illusion like socialism, communism. It's this product that you look at it and it's marketed so well. You look at it and it's like, man, this sounds like it's a good, you know, equality. Like, who in their right mind doesn't want equality and equal opportunity for people and
Mm.
the disabled to be able to be looked after and people with
They make
mental
it sound
health
like a
and
charity, but charity is
it's
voluntary, not imposed.
yeah, exactly, and that's a different, well, one of the differences. But
Absolutely.
but the thing is, with like socialism, you know, like the thing, one thing I could agree with a part of socialism is that like with welfare, right? Well, we need to alleviate as much of welfare as we can because it's not only is it so costly, it's so expensive. It
Mm.
takes a lot of the revenue, you know, the tax that we could use into improving the country, into just keeping people alive and not teaching those people how to look after themselves, so they're dependent, subservient to the state, and they continue to rely on handouts, and it breeds this and manifests this entitlement mentality that people continue to perpetuate. They don't have to go out and get a job because they can earn just as much on selling doing nothing than they would earn, you know, in a part-time
Mm.
job. And you know, it's and the thing with welfare is it needs to look after the elderly. It needs to look after the legitimately disabled, and not your
Yes.
like, oh, you know, pretend I've got a bad back or a bad leg shit, you know, even though
Oh,
that'd be
absolutely.
hard to, you know, distinguish. But, you know, there's people who deserve welfare, unfortunately, because of their circumstances, and there are people who aren't. And same with like healthcare and stuff. Like free healthcare sounds nice, doesn't it? Sounds so fucking beautiful, you know, like free. Like, well, you know, everyone loves the word free. But you know, then you
Everyone
have to
loves
look
the
at the
word free. But socialism, I think, is a good thing under that particular when it's regulated through capitalism and democracy. But when it is just socialism, how can it work? It doesn't, and it hasn't worked time and time again. The USSR, 69 years, 1 year shy of 70 years, and that was a socialist country. Millions and millions of people starved to death under Stalin. And I know many people many people watching, there's only 6 people watching, but many people would say, oh, but that was a particular type of socialism, that was Leninism, that was like a particular type of socialism. What about Finland? But every country that has attempted a stricter version of socialism has never done well. And then this is where I bring on an example where it's not just countries that have tried it, it's also communities who have tried it. You've heard of Jonestown, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, like you're talking about. That's the massacre, the suicide that happened out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, 915 people were murdered, but
The cult.
despite outside of that murder, that suicide, that revolutionary suicide by Reverend Jim Jones, they lived in a socialist because they gave all their money to this cause that they thought they were giving to
Yeah.
God or to whatever it was that he lied to them about. And they worked the land in Guyana, and in Guyana they lived very much. It was very much this beautiful ideal. It sounded beautiful, it seemed beautiful, but then all the documentaries that you watch on it, you know, it was not beautiful. Socialism is what rights can you get out of me, and what did Jim Jones get out of them? He got their money, and he got their time, and he got them to work for the land, and they got not much out of it. I feel like it it erodes the foundation of action and consequence. Like in the life that we live right now, we have actions and consequences. But with socialism, there is no action and consequence really, because you get rid of the idea of competition, you get rid of the idea of incentives, and you're stealing. And
That's
anyone
correct.
who, right, stealing is immoral, right?
Mm. Oh, it's look, it's like I guess it's relevant to the individual in a regard. Like stealing to me is
Taking
it's
what's
hard to
yours, right? So if so, sorry, I shouldn't have cut you off. Go ahead. What is
no
stealing
keep
to
going.
you? No, no, no. You go.
Oh,
What is stealing to
like
you?
I guess really the philosophical like moral comes down to the end justifies the means. You know, like if it if there was some like just say an extreme example, some like pedophile fucking multi-millionaire, and and there was an orphanage just down the road that was completely underfunded and falling apart, and you had the chance to steal. He was blind too, it just makes it easy for you. You had the chance to steal, $1 million off him to give to that orphanage.
Mm.
Like, would you do it for like a good reason? If the person was bad, like like it's more of a just thing as well.
Does
Like
the end
you have,
justify the means?
you have to assess if the person's a bad person and you're doing it for a good cause, then it's justified to a point. But like going and stealing like from friends or family or like random people, or just for your own gain, or like just for a hit or drugs or whatever, no, that is immoral to me.
Yeah.
But like murder, like they say murder is immoral on an absolute scale, but
Mhm.
like murder could, what is defined as murder. Like some people could confuse self-defense with murder as well.
Yeah. I would agree. So what I don't like about the idea of socialism, also my mother is Colombian, and because of what Venezuela has done, Venezuela has got at least, I think, 6 million people who have left. 6 million people have
Yeah,
left Venezuela and are trying to get into Colombia, my half of my country, and they can't deal with all this extra immigration. They can't deal. Their resources are already lacking, and because of what socialism does, socialism is us, the people, relying on the government, and the government providing for us. So you become dependent on someone and something else. You no longer work. You no
yeah,
longer have a wage or earnings. You wait in line for days just for bread. This is in Venezuela currently. This is socialism currently. So it's not just the USSR. And this is the whole thing about cause and effect. Someone in the comments is writing stuff, and I've already addressed those things actually coincidentally. But anyway, so do you agree that if it's like if you have a household, and you have a wife and you have 3 kids, and you're buying for that household the groceries for that household and only that household, but then they keep bringing in more and more people, more and more people, and
yeah,
more
yeah,
and more
yeah.
people, and then you're like, well, how do I can't supply it. how do you supply for all these extra people? It's like they're stealing from you, and you're the government. That's a
It's like
really bad
robbing.
analogy, but I think you know what I'm trying to illustrate.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that's
That's stealing.
it's economically and psych and in regards to human behavior incompatible to socialism is incompatible to human behavior, and it's incompatible to economic reality. And the economic reality is that in a society, to say that's even sustainable in a society, in a socialist society of say, you know, 100 people, you know, you've got, you know, you're in a the end of the world kind of scenario, you know, where resources are scarce already, you know,
Mm.
like okay, I won't use that as an example. Actually, that takes too much explaining, but it's just
And
it
you made
gets
us
to the
late.
yeah. No, but look, it's and so this is why all the shops are empty in Venezuela, and the
Mm.
same thing, like why all the like socialism and famine, or socialism, which is it's pretty much a transitional phase to communism. It's the same thing. Communism is just socialism with steroids, you know. It's social, you know, complete control. Like socialism still allows, in a general sense, allows minimum to moderate, you know, private enterprise, but communism's completely none. um
Mhm.
but yeah, like you know, the demand, like people get greedy. People, if people had all the money they want, and had access to all the free food and all the, you know, free this, free that, people are going to walk in, they're not going to take their fair share. They
What are they
you
not
know,
gonna want to do anything?
some
Like,
people might, but some people are going to go and take all the lobsters and take all the food. Like people are going to go in there and grab more food than they should. And you know, if food's free and accessible to everyone,
if
you
they
know, like
can, because that's the thing. It erodes. It actually ruins you as your human psyche. After generation and generation, you lose the concept of what it is to work. You lose the concept of what it is to
it's a responsibility.
responsibility and
It's just
succeed.
what they call it. They call it so like a nanny state, and that is
A nanny
essentially,
state. That's yeah, that's true. That's right.
you know, like, and the other things that, like with socialism, you know, is that like that it's kind of the whole notion that we in the West have to take on this moral responsibility to deal with the rest of the world's problems, right? And then when we come to the reality and say, look, the best way to deal with the problems in like African countries where there's war and corruption and gangs and militants taking over, and then refugees are fleeing and coming here, is like, all right, we can send troops over to that country to take out these mercenaries and all these fucking, you know, people in power. But then we'll be the bad guys for fucking doing military action. We'll be the imperialist, expansionist, fucking, you know, Australia, which is America 2.0. Well, you know, we'll be the new warmongers. And that's the thing. It's like, if we want to end the refugee crisis, we probably need a fucking military to go into these, you know, the heartlands of these broken down, war torn countries and deal
Mm.
with the problem in force. But the thing is,
Hmm.
as soon as we get there, everyone's going to get together and unite against us, because we're going to be seen as the new oppressor.
We're already seen as oppressors though, because we're a
We
Western
already are. Yeah,
country, and
exactly.
because white people are evil. Or white people. That's the new thing. That's another whole live stream, that subject. But
Archetypes of evil.
archetypes of evil. Ooh, that's a good title. What's going on in the background there?
That's just TV. I'm just trying to find I'm just papers. I'm trying to have a cigarette.
Oh, fair enough. You can smoke on my live stream. I don't mind. Some some research that I was doing was that on YouTube there is, I forgot the name. I have it here, the link. I just don't know what it. But they said that there has never been a 100 socialist country. That's what someone said. But I don't know if that's true, because the USSR, I guess, was communist slash socialist, and currently Venezuela
Paper.
um, is purely a socialist country. But when people claim Finland and Norway and Denmark and Sweden to be models, the perfect models of a utopian socialist society, this is inaccurate, because in fact they have socioeconomic systems.
Oh, I can't. Look, man, this is the deception around it, right?
I
It's like
know. Go ahead.
Finland and
Finland.
Norway and
Yeah.
Sweden, have this illusion that they're the perfect, they're they're the epitome of a working, successfully functioning social democratic society. The thing is that social democracy has just completely shadowed the real definition, which is market mixed economy. They're all capitalist economies. They all have
Yes, I know. With
elements of
socialist
capitalism too.
overtones.
All
Exactly.
they have, the socialist doctrines that they have implemented are welfare state. Free education, healthcare, and high taxes and stuff like that. Which, look, they might not seem like, but say their immigration policies, and immigration comes with socialism in this regard, open borders. And now you look at Spain just becoming a socialist country, and you look at the amount of people flooding in, over there, over in Spain. It's absolutely, it's shocking, and you can just predict, and you can just look at what's going to happen from there, and you can gather an idea that Spain's going to be just the next talking
Spain.
point.
I'm half Spanish. I'm half
Oh,
Colombian and half Spanish. What's wrong with
and
Spain? What's gonna happen?
you don't you know Spain's under a socialist government now? Yeah, I assume you know.
Yeah, I knew that, but I thought it was still the overtone thing of Finland. Like, enlighten
What?
me. I'm happy to learn. I'm not here claiming to know everything, although a lot of people probably think I am, which I
Oh,
never do.
you have your critics. No, but Spain have opened their borders.
Oh, I
And
know. To a lot of, well, we know to a lot of what. But anyway,
to a lot of innocent people who would do absolutely no harm, absolutely none, all innocent.
all
How
innocent and
dare you?
all men.
How dare you be logical and come to the conclusion that there'd be a percent that there's inevitably going to be a percentage of people that come in such a mass migration of people that have disingenuous intentions or don't plan to assimilate or don't plan or plan to harm somebody.
There's no
So,
vetting at all either.
oh, we need vetting me.
Yeah, we need vetting.
But back to socialism with the thing like socialism. It takes away it's like rob Peter to pay Paul thing, It punishes the rich, the people who have worked, and this is like the thing with individualism. Now, it's life is a competition. We can't sit there. Socialism is just us all sitting and drowning together, while the ruling class get to enjoy the fruits of everyone else's labor, and that's just the same system. It's always going to be like that. You're never going to see the leader of a socialist country starving in the same streets as his people. They're living in luxuries in their palaces and their mansions.
What about the argument that socialism is fair? Because under a capitalist democracy like we have here, my next door neighbor probably actually does have a better house, has it's newer, it's renovated, it's more modern, they have a pool. I don't have that stuff, but under socialism, I can get that stuff too, and then it's fair for everyone. How do you respond to that particular argument?
I respond to that is that it's fair in regards that like creating things like safety nets, and yes, I understand that capitalism isn't always fair, but the moral of this whole thing is that economics isn't fair. Politics isn't fair. You have so many different groups of people, so many different requests, so many different demands for things, and you try to help this group of people, you piss this group of people off, so you try to help them out, and then you piss another group of people off. Economics and politics, it's never going to benefit 100% of people, so you have to understand that. And when it comes to like safety net, capitalism, for example, I'm not going to sit around and praise capitalism as like it's some infallible system of economics that
every system out there has its flaws. Every single one.
Exactly. But with capitalism, it's created an unfair disadvantage in the market. With all these monopolies being created and corporatization of the market, where the government and big business are going to bed with each other, going to, them hands in each other's pockets. The businesses want to crush their competition, so they pay their politician buddies to regulate, that part of the market that their competitors working in, or that part of the industry or whatever. Like it's it's
I'll step in there and
socialist.
say something. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to say that while I don't disagree with what you're saying, although I'll probably need to rewind it at some point and deconstruct it so I can. But I was going to say that my response to what my fake premise is that it is fair. It is absolutely fair that my next door neighbor has a pool, has a better house than me that's new and renovated.
Yeah,
Why is
because
it
they
fair?
work
Because
for it.
they work harder. I
They
haven't.
work for it.
Yes, and I haven't, and I don't have a husband, and I don't have, it's not a double income household here. It's a single income household here, and there's all these factors involved. So I don't deserve what my next door neighbor has because I haven't showed the fruits for that labor, and so
Exactly. No, you're 100% right, man.
yes,
We make individual decisions, and that subsequently results with the outcome that we get. Like, see,
yes,
the thing is with, all right, like with being fair, look, in capitalism with the market, it's not always fair. Life isn't always fair, and we have to stop pretending we can make it fair, because it's never
yeah.
going to be
But
fucking fair for everybody.
equal outcome, not equal opportunity, equal outcome for all.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing as well, man. Like when it comes to, look, that a thing with the socialists and the left is they try to push for equality so hard, and they push for equality so hard to the point that they create more inequality. It's, they're trying to unite this group of people, but the only way they can bring this group of people together by criticizing another group of people, and they're playing this intersectional cultural, Marxist oppression Olympics, where it's
Oppression
like, look,
Olympics.
they're trying to subconsciously indoctrinate into our heads that we are somehow being oppressed by the system, and that's the successful, because look,
We're
the
being oppressed by
success.
the media. They're indoctrinating us to believe they're shit.
The biggest obstacle between the rich and the poor is the information that one gives themselves. Now you've got like person A, he's a laborer. He goes and works in the mines and earns fucking, $2,500 a week, and he's making good money. And it's, when he gets his paycheck, he goes to the pub and just gets pissed,
Yeah,
drinks, pokies. 6 months later, he's earned, nearly, like 50 grand, 100 grand, like, between 50 and 100 grand. And all of a sudden, like, he's got nothing to show for it. While person B was working, fast food takeaway job, saving every penny he had, invested into some camera equipment or whatever, bought assets, purchased, things to empower themselves and generate income. It's the knowledge that we give ourselves. A lot of people in our generation would rather go out and party and go get on drugs and go, emulate the behaviors and what society expects us to follow.
yeah.
We have to follow this Jersey Shore hookup culture bullshit where,
Oh, I know, right?
we work through the week, and then on the weekend we piss it off and go hook up with whatever we can, man.
Yeah.
That's just a contributing factor in the decline of our civilization, and it's abhorrent, man. And it really, socialism perpetuates that. It encourages all of the most, abhorrent and just, immoral and just reprehensible behaviors in society, and puts it on a pedestal, and like this whole
It
push for
does tend to be
equality.
leftists too. Leftists seem to be, I don't want to generalize, but leftists seem to be the ones advocating for the government to provide for them. And the more that happens, I know you're not a Christian. I know you're not a Christian, but I know you don't shun your nose at people of faith either. And I like that about you.
Mm-mm.
Um, the more that the left promotes things like socialism and that kind of stuff, it does erode our Christian heritage and our traditional values, and the things that you hold dear are the things that are disappearing. And it's funny that that's all sort of interwoven.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's like with, yeah, like the left, and it is the left, in general. Like, say the left are trying to, put people under the impression that the left are the only ones who fight for equality and fight against racism and fight against sexism. When
Which is
there's
not
people
true.
on the right fucking fight against those things as well. You know, the
Republicans
difference.
were the ones who stopped slavery. White
Yeah,
Republicans.
exactly. You
Yeah.
know, look, it's just, you know, the mentality is of the left is that if you're not out there openly campaigning like that Tom Tanaki fuckwit in Melbourne, openly every time I have look at his page for a laugh, and he's just always
I didn't even know who that is, but you probably shouldn't have
he's
said.
nah, fuck him, and he's an Antifa fucking member, you know, wannabe comedian. But either way, that's not the point. The point is
Antifa
that
hates us.
yeah, the fucking Antifa.
That's what you
They
know. That's what you're famous for saying.
I hope they're watching it. But like I was saying, all it does is post about Lauren Southern and the right and bitch and yelling at racist dogs and like that's just all you know. That's his like it's his obsession in his head, man. That ruminates all the time, and in their head, it's like if you're not openly not condoning, advocating and condemning racism and sexism and bigotry and all these buzzwords aboard by the far left, then you're a part of the problem. You know, it's
They
like
think they're so woke because they do all this stuff, but they don't realize that they're a part of the problem and that they're feeding into it by talking about it so much. They're actually feeding division.
yeah,
How's that
that's like
cigarette?
like the thing is like socialism has bred a new culture of thought within young Americans and young people in Western civilization around the world, and not just Western civilization. Socialism is very prevalent in Latin
Bernie
American
Sanders.
countries. And
Bernie Sanders is a democratic socialist, and this is a good segue into our subject of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
yep.
Unfortunately, a Latina like myself, giving us a bad name. Do you know anything about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's a moron. There's nothing
Uh,
intelligent in that brain of hers.
Oh, look, I've seen some like videos of like, making fun of her, and you know, I haven't like all to me, all she is to me is just another attempted little cute attempt at the left trying to position a demagogue for their democratic socialist agenda,
That's
and
exactly what it is.
and they found like David Hogg and that's that Gomez chick, whatever her name is, um, the they're just puppets for the agendas for the new Democratic Party, and they're trying to get a far more socialist, you know, coverage with it now. They're trying to read, you know, like this is the extreme reactionary reaction against the wave of Trump. Like it's like the left now can't
They can't do it. They can't function.
they can't cover their agenda to control anymore. So they're going to come out with it openly, but try to romanticize it as much as they can.
Yeah, and they won't succeed. And if they do succeed in getting socialism in the United States, which they never will, because it goes against the Constitution, essentially, in some way. Yeah. Hey, someone can I go to the questions in the live stream for a second, Baden, because they're kind of one of them is directed at you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Someone wants to know. I don't know if this is a joke or if it's true, but someone wants to know about your dad. Is your dad a
Yeah,
socialist?
my dad. Yeah, no, that's a good
Says his
question.
dad was a Socialist Party leader in New South Wales. Is that true? Am I
What?
putting you on the spot here? You don't have to answer.
No, not a socialist party leader. He's
No?
like no, he's got his own twist on it. Yeah, he's got some like socialist views. Some
Yeah,
like
well, Australia
this is
has socialized, like, some socialist programs and they work. Like, we're not saying we hate socialism as a whole,
But
just
no, but the thing is with like dad and his ideas is like, um, I don't think I don't agree with all my dad's ideas entirely.
fair enough.
So
You're
so
your own person.
so we have debates about things and how things should be
Okay.
operated. But yeah, no, he does have some socialist views and such.
Okay.
But I guess like it doesn't have too much like a significant influence on my views.
Okay, fair enough. That's like my dad. He doesn't believe in God at all, and I didn't get that part of me rubbing off on me. I got the part of me that does believe in God. So, like, I got, you know, You can make up your own mind about things in your own life. Your parents aren't always the influences of everything for you. I'm going to go a little bit more to the questions just because even though I do want to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a little more because she's a moron, but there's a video called I Think, and it says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez likes to think. And in the video, someone's just put it together. Her going, oh, I think, but nothing she says is ever right. She doesn't know anything. She just thinks a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go and have a look at what the questions say. And I'll just read them out to you, and you can tell me what your thoughts on these things. Sorry, hang on. They're fighting in the live stream chat, so I'm just trying to have a look for actual proper questions. No one's asked any questions to us. Chat. Yeah, I'm at the live stream chat, but no one's asking us specifically any questions. So they're just sort of fighting each other about socialism. And yeah, the only person that had a question was that Andrew guy. He wanted to know about your dad, and I asked. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So no questions in the live stream, not proper actual questions directed at us. Okay, there is one. What are your thoughts on anarchism?
Anarchism. To me, there's two forms of anarchism. There's
I agree.
There's permanent anarchism and there's temporary transitional anarchism. You know, from a anarchist to a socialist state or anarchist to a capitalist state.
I have friends who are anarchists. They're really nice.
Oh, I know anarchists too.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it just because it's going to be a bloodbath regardless. Like, just say let's give it the benefit. So if we say permanent anarchism, right? There's going to be complete. It's going to be complete tribalism, and it's going to be social Darwinism at the in practice. It's going to be naturally the most equipped, resourced, physically capable, connected, who have weapons, who have who are going to be you just better pray to God that they're not evil, or they don't have insidious intentions afoot. But in a transitional, like, there's going to be fighting in the permanent state, and it's going to be like World War IV, and it's probably going to be 100-year war that's not going to end for a long time.
What's going to happen to World War III? Why did it skip to World War IV?
Oh, because they say World War III World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. So say World War III happens, the world goes into a nuclear cataclysm, and there's pockets of survivors after the war. It'll be anarchy. There'll be no state, there'll be no order or anything like that. There'll be everyone for themselves. But and then it will go to Walking Dead, or you'll just see them like survival. Like, people will be forming communities and little colonies to survive together, and there'll be people like some will thrive, others won't. And it's just a matter of the strong versus the weak. It's going to be the ultimate battle of survival. With transitional to transitional, it sounds a lot better because they acknowledge that anarchism is not going to maintain itself permanently, that there's always going to be a power vacuum, and whether they want to implement a state or their own, a community, there's going to be other people who are going to do it regardless. It's not like they're the only ones with the idea on their heads. But the first stages of anarchy are going to be absolute bloodshed. We're not all going to sit, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya and get along with each other. No, it's it'll be absolute chaos. And after the initial, couple of weeks, lots of people will die. Things will start to ease down. There'll be pockets of people who have grouped together to survive. And
there's always that. That's a given.
But and then you're gonna have to the whole cohesive part of things. Like, are those communities going to work together? People have their own agendas. People are all different. A community could be functioning well, and then someone decides to see a hole in how the community's ran. And
not everyone is going to want to abide by that anarchist system or by that socialist system. There will be defectors. Like, it's a flawed system. It just is.
Look, I honestly think there's a good chance, like not a definite chance, but a good chance
of what?
We may become an anarchy in our lifetime. We could have a nuclear war.
It's possible.
wipe out, or we in Australia and New Zealand and Southern Hemisphere mainly will probably be the least susceptible to be exterminated in a nuclear holocaust.
Well, let's not think about that, shall we?
Yeah,
Kind of
okay,
depresses me.
but with with anarchism, like it's just a reset. It's a reset on society. Now we acknowledge that society and how its structure right now it's horrible and it should be changed completely. Um, and it's getting to the point that any means it's coming to that, like we have to have radical problems require radical solutions. I'm not gonna elaborate on anything, but yeah,
I
like
just got to
things.
500 subscribers. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
I
that's
just
good. Congratulations.
boom. I was gonna ask you. There is a guy who wants me to say hi to you, and his name is Andrew Labuske. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, he's fun. Yeah, he's a big fan. He's one of my biggest fans actually. I love him.
Oh,
He's
yeah, too cute. You have your fans. You know your fans. Well, see,
yeah
Maddie from Maddie's Modern Life is one of my biggest fans. He's so in love with me.
yeah no big shout outs to LeBasque. You know,
Labuske.
he's a good comrade of mine. In the Antifa resistance.
Hey,
He
Andrew, subscribe to my channel. Tell him to
yeah
sub to my channel.
he's a staunch advocate for the far left
Oh, he
ideology.
is?
Yeah, he's
Interesting.
a staunch supporter. Yeah,
But he
he's
sounds
an
open
anti.
minded.
Fun.
He's open minded.
Nah, he's riddled with cognitive dissonance. Believe me, he was one of the Antifas that I've been at war with over the last couple of months. Sorry,
Andrew,
say months. Andy Labasque. I call him. I call him
that's
Handy Labasque.
hilarious. He seems cool.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's probably a really nice guy, and I think he's a bit too nice to be talking tougher online. When he does.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see what else my live stream says. Socialism is evil from Maddie. Yes, it is. Socialism is stealing from one person to give to the group. Yes, it is. Maddie's on it. Let's see what else it says. The only way to stop people owning private property is to forcefully remove it from them. True anarchy requires no state and no force. That's true. Let's see what else. Wow, so there's a lot going on in this live stream that I missed. Oh, okay, this is the point that I got up to. I turned up. You need to talk more into the mic, by the way, Baden.
Can you hear me
I
adequately
can, but
now?
apparently they can't. I've turned your volume all the way up though.
Oh shit.
But
Fuck.
also I'm really loud, so I think the contrast between you and me is quite different because I have just a naturally really loud voice. So I probably
No,
am
I'll
like
just tone it up
I'm
a bit.
probably
I'll tone it.
yeah, I think I'm
Yeah,
just
that's all
deafening
right.
people.
No, that's all good. That's
Okay, what else? Anarchists are socialists, according to Nesty. Anarchists are socialists through some. I missed it. Where is it? Where does it go? I can't find it now. Oh, I can't find it now. Nope. Anarchists are socialists through Proud, Hon, and Kropotkin to Goldman to Stirner.
okay.
Do you know what that means?
Bit of incoherent ramble. Sounds like it.
Incoherent ramble. All right, let's leave it to that. No real anarchists are those who believe in a society built on the non-aggression principle.
What's the
Non-aggression
non-aggression
principle is a
principle?
good thing.
The thing is that human nature is inherently aggressive. We've always been like that since the dawn of humanity. Oh, sorry, I
Indeed.
shouldn't say humanity. How dare I say humanity? People kind. Sorry.
People kind. Bloody idiot. What would your ideal societal and governmental system look like? And is it leading that way? If not, how would you head that way? It's certainly closer to democracy and a majority rules, I think. Maybe I don't have any policy prescriptions. How would you answer that question? What would your ideal societal and governmental system look like?
I've been talking for a long time with that. And the angle to start off with, like, look, I'm trying to create a completely different and unique system, one that can accommodate us for the next, next few hundred years, one that's always going to be relevant, one that can adapt to the future transitions in economic, political, social climates. We need a perfect balance of freedom and order.
We do, but that's
Too
probably doesn't
much.
even have a name yet. It's doesn't exist
No,
yet.
no, look, we need to have a respectful, we need law and order, we need to have a respect for authority, we need to have a cultural shift, a cultural revolution where we need to be like, one thing that I really push for is Australia becoming like a modern day contemporary ancient Athena, where philosophy and higher education are highly encouraged and put and promoted in society, and where knowledge and education are more valued virtues than going out and partying and subjective interpretation of fun. Like
Uh-huh.
there's some like we deserve to go out and have fun and live our lives how we want, but where like
Democratic
when
progressivism,
no
according to
like
Kenji.
um look, democracy's got a lot of problems. It's evident. It's tribal. It's
Well,
mob rule now.
it's being flawed. It's flawed. It's flawed now. But at least with the current system, we have the right to rally. We have the right to protest. We can change our views pending a plebiscite or a referendum or a
Yeah, yeah,
vote, and the majority rules. Now, whether that majority actually is helpful to the minorities, it remains. It's like Ireland recently said it was okay to have abortion. That's not good. That means millions and millions of babies will be murdered. But
yeah.
the majority spoke. So definitely, that's a flaw because people are doing the wrong thing. But I mean, sorry, keep going.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, especially when it comes to like with the perfect example of corruption in the democratic model is you've got a group of people to agree on one issue, and just because a couple of corporate fucking conglomerates approach some of these people in the vote with offer off bribes to say, look, vote against the proposal and we'll pay you $100,000. People are selling their souls out. They're selling the country out for their own personal gain.
Yeah,
And look,
like abortion.
the state and the people are equally as important. And like in a libertarian sense, we're taught that the individual is more important than the state, and in a socialist sense, we're taught that the state is more important than the individual. We have to see that both are important as each other equally. Is because the state, in order for the individual to thrive, the state has to provide those amenities and those resources and luxuries for people to be able to access to improve their quality of life and educate themselves and such, where the people have to have the individual responsibility to make those right decisions, to
Yeah.
associate with the right people, to contribute positively to society, and not become a parasite to it, which is the socialist mentality, and it rewards laziness and
Mhm.
punishes hard work and success. And and this is the thing, like, it's all just so people can narcissistically virtue signal their grandiose um, self-interpretation of how they're so virtuous and puritanical, man. It's
Definitely.
and that's what, like, the reality is you're never going to benefit everyone with economics, and all you can do is try and benefit, as like, you can give a person, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but you teach a man a fish, you feed the village. Now we
I
need
agree
to
with that.
teach people to be self-independent. We need
That's why
we need
yeah. No
and in
charity. I
in
mean,
my
charity is fine, but teach people how to do things so that they can further the snowball effect. That's
my
definitely
ideal
much better.
society is also, it's also implemented with a meritocracy, a
Yeah,
social ranking
definitely.
system where
Yes.
people who go out and do more charity and help and volunteer and and act as good citizens in society, get more privileges and more rewards, where people who act bad, like misbehave, get less privileges, and so we need an incentive for good behavior. We need as well to have, a better panel of experts and ministers. We need to have, instead of just economists and people who only think from a business perspective about how our country is run, it's important to expand the market and, raise more GDP for, improve the GDP rate for the country and the economy as well. But we need to, the thing with socialism is that, like, part of socialism, we need to have those social programs to be able to help people who can't pick up those skills for themselves, to give them the tools to help themselves. But you have to make it efficient and effective. It can't just be what the socialist programs they have now, when you're looking for a job and you go to the job employment provider and they just sit you on a computer and don't do anything for you and
And
tell you
also
to
with the
look for.
meritocracy, you can give if you want. Like I give about $30 every single month to children in Africa and South America who don't have clean drinking water because it causes malnourishment and diarrhea. They die of diarrhea. And I can give that money now in a meritocracy. But if we were living in a socialist society or a communist society, we wouldn't be able to give money. We wouldn't be able to voluntarily do charity because we'd all be getting the same. And we
The
would need that
popul-
money just to survive day to day.
the population increases, there's always going to be high demand. Every day, there's
Yes,
always going to be a growing demand on products and service. And
exactly.
with socialism, everything's government funded. So, like, one thing that I think that I reckon that taxpayers with their tax returns should get a separate form or something like that. It gives them the option to say what they want their tax money paid on. So instead of their tax money going some politician's dinner or something they don't have no idea where it's going to, they should be able to tick a box or write down where they want it to go to,
Mm.
or a percent, the tax that they pay, so they know where their money's going into. People get a direct say on infrastructure projects and stuff, because state planning is
That's a good
is
idea. Like a separate thing where they can be like, I want my money to go to this, to that. That's actually part of the anarchism argument. When I was on a live stream about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with my anarchist friend, Unframe of Mind. I'll hook you up to him. You and Daniel Wagner would make an interesting live stream together. Go on Daniel Wagner's channel. I'm going to make it happen for you. Anyway, he's an anarchist, and he it was telling me about that, and they were talking about how you can sort of decide for yourself what you want your money to go into, potholes or the elderly homes or that kind of stuff. By the way, there's a lot of questions in the group chat for you, and I can't go over all of them. I'm really tired, and I want to go soon. But you should go into the live chat now and respond if you want to these people.
how do I do that?
So, hang on, I'll link you. You're so dumb when it comes to technology. Hang on a second. I'm going into. Actually, I'm going to go to Facebook and private message it to you. Hang on a second. But all right. I've also linked your Facebook page into the description box below so that people can add you on Facebook if they should so choose. I'll ask
Excellent.
one more question so that we can see. Ask Baden this, please. I heard he is a third-degree Proud Boy. What does that even mean?
Oh yeah, no. So I had an issue with the Proud Boys where someone's fraudulently, put on my messenger that I'm claiming I'm a third degree Proud Boy as such, which I never have. And
you're like Blair Cottrell. Like these fake soccer accounts just say things about you that aren't true. Okay, if that's not
yeah,
true,
yeah. So it looks like you're saying shit, and people jump the bus,
yeah, that's
and
what
they.
they do.
But that's no concern to me because I've got my own thing going, which is
Yes, you do.
evidently growing. I'm not going to elaborate much on that because obviously there's trolls watching, and I'm not going
There are
to.
trolls watching. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't know this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be mainly my my subscribers watching. Let me
Oh,
have a
that's
look.
fine. I like trolls. Trolls always, like, stir the pot. I think they make things more entertaining.
They do.
Um,
They're lovely. Is killing capitalists and robbing them good? Also, what do you think of spooks?
Spooks. What?
I don't even know what that means.
Sorry. I'm capitalists and Robin. Obviously not.
Why? Obviously, killing isn't good. That's just a dumb question. I just asked it because it was there.
Unless it's a communist.
All right.
No, I'm joking.
No, I know you're joking. I don't get offended by jokes. That's the left. So someone said, teaching one to support themselves is one thing, but difficult if that person is disabled. Hence we have socialist things in Australia like Medicare and carers and all that stuff. Like,
That's right.
it's like people are saying that they're not
It's like
listening
they
to us.
didn't even
They're not
listen. No,
listening to this live
they
stream.
obviously they probably haven't been in tune with the whole conversation, or they haven't
No, this person I think
seen
has been listening to the whole conversation. And if I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, that's the part of socialism I can agree with. You can't just take welfare away
Yeah.
from people who can't fend for themselves. That's
Australia
completely
is
fucking.
somewhat socialist, right?
Look, we have some socialist aspects to
Absolutely.
our society. Yeah.
Yes. And we need it, but it's regulated through capitalism and democracy, which is why it works here. If
That's
it
what I was
was
saying before there, that
we're a
like
meritocracy.
the market needs to have regulation to it, and I've thought a lot
Yes.
about it, and a lot of people say the market can regulate itself, and I've thought a lot about it, and people are too inherently dishonest, and it's just been proven because through business there's always loopholes, and loopholes are founded intentionally by people who have the intention to go around the way things are traditionally operated. So it's people use loopholes to avoid paying things or paying as much or having to pay people, or and it's those loopholes which regulation prevent from happening. But the problem with too much regulation on the market is it cripples the efficiency of how a business is ran and operated, and taxing them too much as well takes away a lot of incentives for companies to expand and or give pay rises to their employees and such. Like, look at Trump's latest tax cuts. I think it was like 520 businesses in the United States in that period of time. I think it was within like a month or 2 months of his tax cuts, becoming like public, like official, not public. That 520 companies have given bonuses, pay bonuses, and expanded infrastructure with their companies. So this whole idea, trickle down economics, can work. But another thing is, capitalism itself as a system isn't bad. It's the people who have ran capitalism into the ground. It's
That's
human
true. It
nature.
could work one day, but that's just like saying communism could work properly one day if the right person who wasn't corrupt, so on and so forth. But the system itself is still stealing. It's still stealing from the person who was earning what they've earned. It's still
Communism,
taking. Sorry.
communism is definitely.
Yes, but I would argue that socialism and communism is essentially the same thing,
Yeah, pretty much.
minus tiny differences. Yeah.
Yeah, couple of
So
subtle differences.
subtle,
You
very
know,
subtle
um,
differences.
socialism is like moderate to heavy control of business, private enterprise, where communism's total control.
Yeah, in every way. Like even like the media and even like Hitler, not Hitler, or and all of those guys stopped. The words aren't coming to me, and this isn't even that hard. Media. What's the word? That the newspapers.
The press.
The press, yeah, they stopped freedom of the press. Sorry, that was the word. Those were the words I was looking for. Freedom of the press, all of that stuff, under communism and under fascism is just. Whereas with socialism, you probably would. No, I don't know. Yeah, but it's essentially all the same crap. It really is.
Yeah, and like there are some like there are some parts of socialism that can be implemented in a capitalist economy.
Mm.
Like I said, like there are welfare is needed for people who can't fend for themselves. But I refuse to, pay for people who are, bad or ass addicts to feed their own addictions instead of their children and such like that. Like the state, people can't look after themselves. Like people can, but in a majority of people can't. They're too reliant on the state, and they've they've proved that themselves by allowing themselves to become oppressed. But oppression isn't happening by the state. Oppression is happening by ourselves. We oppress ourselves by having a shit attitude and a shit mentality towards success and towards ambition and having
Well, we're lazy.
aspirations.
We're lazy
And
because we want. Go.
exactly, we are lazy. We've
We're
become an
lazy.
a country with an entitlement mentality, and it's taking away the ambition from our own people.
That's my point.
Especially,
We're raising
especially
a generation of morons who can't even pay for condoms and birth control because they want the government to do all of that. Like, government is not our mum and dad. Government is not God. Government should be as limited and as little as possible. And socialism destroys that because it's pure dependency, which is why
yeah,
communism is all bullshit anyway. But yeah, they say if one person could do it right, then there's a chance of it being done right. But I mean, essentially, it'll never be done right.
I'm more for a in between a big and a small government. I believe that like there's a lot of different complex factors and aspects of society that can't be self-managed and need to be managed. But the thing is, you want to simplify the system. You don't want to complicate it. You don't want to
Exactly,
add just
simplify it.
countless amounts of bureaucracies and bureaucrats and bureaucrats and bureaucrats to fix everyone's problem. Bureaucrats are fucking naturally idiots anyway. Like in a general
Whoa!
sense.
First word of the live stream when we're about to get out.
No, and they pick certain personality types of bureaucrats. They try to look for more of the colder, harsher, personalities. People that can deal with how they'll say it, like cheats and stuff, a lot more effectively and stuff. But yeah, like bureaucrats, and we need to simplify the structure and systems, mechanisms of society. We need to have government being the government's responsibility is to help the individual empower themselves. That's how I think it should be. The individual should empower themselves, but at their own choice. But the government should always be there to say, look, you want to empower yourself. Congratulations, we're going to fucking help you empower yourself to become successful, and not to become a cog in the mechanism of society, which the current school education curriculum indoctrinates us to become. Socially engineers us to become just, things that we don't want to be. We're taught that we have to accept mediocrity, that we're bad for having ambition, that too much ambition is crazy. And
We're actually praised for those things, but then when you do them and then you popularize them about yourself, then you're attacked for it. It's stupid. It's sort of like,
yeah.
but yeah, look, well, we're probably gonna wrap up now. But do you want to maybe do a plug? Is there anything coming up? Are you going to make a YouTube channel soon, or are you going to remain on Facebook? What's happening with you in terms of this socio-political
Well,
ultimedia world?
I've got about 24 people who are all very interested and have regularly attended meetings that I've been holding. I'm not gonna get into too much detail
Don't.
there, but
I know about this already. Off.
yeah. But look, like things are looking very like they're looking very bright. Things are going well.
They are.
Um,
You're gonna explode in, I'd say, about 6 months. People are gonna be like, Bayden. And plus, your name is so unique. You're certainly gonna, yeah.
yeah,
I'm
look,
excited.
man.
I'm excited to see what's gonna happen, and I'm excited to say that I was one of your little stepping stones along your way to the top.
Look, we're all a part of this, man, and this is what we have to do, and this is what we people and if people who are on the right who are watching this or who see this, who have a negative perception of me, is understand is that we virtually agree on 99% of things. The difference is maybe one or two subtle differences shouldn't cause us to hate each other. At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
we all want to save this country. We all want to, we want to take this country back from the people who truly are oppressing us.
Yeah.
People who, well, look, they're not really oppressing us, as in like infringing our civil liberties every single day and interfering with, like they do to a point, but not like at an extreme. But
Yeah.
but yeah, we like the point is we want to save this country, we want to take it back. We want to preserve our people. We don't want immigration to become already is a problem, but we
I'm
don't
a
want to.
first generation Australian. I am ethnic. My parents speak Spanish. I've assimilated, and I can even say that immigration needs to be vetted. And yes, I would agree
But
with.
before we even think about taking in more immigrants, I believe we should take the current amount of people who have immigrated here within the last few years and work on assimilating them into our culture as quickly as we need to assimilate the current not refugees, the current immigrants that we have here.
Oh,
Before we even consider taking in more people, because like you said, with multiculturalism, and we'll be talking for a lot longer if we go into
let's
it,
not get
but
into that. But we're a multi-ethnic country. We're not multicultural.
that's
There is
how it
one
should be.
culture, and that's the Australian culture.
Yeah, that's a monolithic culture, the Australian culture,
Mm,
which is multi-ethnic society, and the thing is that as a civic nationalist, a lot of people don't think that's a lot of people think that's like soft cock. It's not a hardcore view towards like immigration and stuff like that. To me, it's just I think we're too far ethnically diverse now to be able to get any say to reverse any of the decisions that that have affected us,
yeah.
without causing a massive civil war. So the best thing we can do is unite everyone here right now who wants to be united, and regardless of your color or your religion, whatever, Australia has to be first before anything else. That has to be we need to have an oath of allegiance where people pledge an oath of allegiance like on
I
a daily
pledge
basis.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic, to something like that. Look, I'm gonna wrap it up now. I have a live stream coming up next week with Ben Davies. Ben Davies, if you're watching, I am ready to debate you. Catholics versus Christians. I'm going to assume the role of a Catholic. I am not a Catholic, but I'm going to act like I'm a Catholic. He's going to be the Christian, and we're going to battle it out in theological wars. No, I'm only kidding. No one's going to win. It's not about that. It's just about
Having fun.
addressing a video that I made earlier that really upset a lot of people. I'm sorry, Catholics. I don't hate you. I love everyone. My faith calls me to love everyone, even my enemies. Baden, I don't recommend you read the live stream comments.
Well, I haven't.
Just when this is over and it comes back on my channel, look through what everyone is saying. I think you'll be pretty entertained by it.
Well, Antifa,
I
and
don't
come
know if they're
to.
Antifa, but it's predominantly critical comments against you, some towards me, but it's okay. I love them. They're beautiful, and I want to hug them. And one day
Yeah, no,
I love
they
you guys.
definitely are. They're just they're the archetypes of virtue. These guys, so much love and tolerance, man.
Exactly. I need a Bible in my background. I have Milo Yiannopoulos and Coulter, an amazing duo who's coming to Australia soon. I'll be there, everyone. Come to see Milo and Ann Coulter, and you get to see me too. And Pamela Geller, who I interviewed on my channel not that long ago, but I haven't put it up yet because I only got the audio. I wasn't able to get the video. That's really annoying. I'm going to have to put it up, though, because she's not responding to my emails to redo the interview. So I'll just have to pop up the audio. Anyway, yeah, it's just all about you. So I'm cutting it off. I'm cutting it off. Live stream is over. Everyone, please please tune in
They
to.
love me.
They love you. I
I'm
knew
like a
having
god to these plebs.
I knew having you on would do this. I actually knew having you on would do this. And the same thing happened with other people I've had on that it brings funny conversations and entertaining things. So I am going to take it off live now, and so everyone subscribe and follow Baden on Facebook, and if you want to subscribe to me, please do as well.
Can I say one more thing before you finish
Yes,
the
go
live
ahead.
stream?
Go
Fuck
ahead.
Antifa. Fuck Antifa.
I am going to add that video in the description box below, and you need to do a live stream with Maddie. Maddie, if you're still watching, do a live stream with Baden. I'm gonna help you, dude. I'm gonna recruit for you. All right. Stop
Oh,
the bro.
excellent. Sounds great there.
Yeah. And just one more time, what was that thing you just said?
Fuck Antifa.